What's up, guys? Welcome back to the channel. This is Aatrox, and we're back with another Mortal Kombat video. Now, if this is your first time finding out about the story I've been kind of putting together for basically a fan story for this Mortal Kombat channel. So if you haven't followed, if you didn't see the first story, basically I can give you guys a quick kind of rundown. What basically is, the story takes place like right after the end of Aftermath. And it just shows Liu Kang kind of his journey, trying to figure out how to be, basically him just trying to figure out how to be a god, and then Raiden's whole trying to become a mortal thing. And they have like these weird like interactions with each other because they're still not used to their roles, and like, you know, Liu Kang kind of leans a lot on Raiden in the first story, and it's kind of the way I wanted it to be. I wanted Liu Kang to, I wanted to still kind of instill that like master kind of like apprentice type role with Liu Kang and Raiden, because Liu Kang honestly was raised from being a Shaolin to being, you know, the champion of Earthrealm from Raiden, and now it's like kind of going back to that route again, because even though he is a god now, he doesn't know what he's doing at all. Like, he has no idea how to use his abilities and stuff like that, because like initially in the story it kind of just was he learned how to use Raiden's powers automatically, which kind of didn't make sense to me, because, you know, if you're learning to use something that you're not used to before, you're not a master of it automatically. So in the story I kind of made it be more of like a kind of like a life or death situation, is why he was able to manipulate the abilities. But in the story he tries to use it and he can't, so he takes a period of time to kind of like learn that. And there's a bunch of like different parts. I'm not gonna go word for word for each part of the story. If you guys want to see that, like, I'll put a link somewhere in this video. You guys can go check that out. So anyways, the story takes place, like the story that I'm about to talk about now, this is the second part, right? So the second part is going to be a different kind of thing. I'm not going to spoil anything for you guys, because honestly I think the video is going to be way longer than the first one. I think the second story is probably going to be closer to like 50 minutes long, just because of all the stuff that's jam-packed in it. And I feel like there's a lot more going on in this story, and it's a lot more action and a lot more I feel like I made it a lot more emotional, like in depth, for the depth of the characters that are usually inside of it. And like I kind of wanted you guys to experience that firsthand without me spoiling anything. So this part here is basically I made a 3-minute teaser. Honestly, this doesn't have the voice acting yet because I have to start auditioning for it first, but I kind of wanted to show you guys what I'm doing and like kind of get you guys feedback on like what you like to see, because I mean I am changing some things up for the second part of the story. And initially the story was supposed to come out in April of this year, but like, you know, if you guys have been following the channel for a minute, you guys know I lost my job, so it made it hard for me to do it, because I also wanted to promote the video, because I wanted more Mortal Kombat fans to see it and just kind of get like more feedback from everybody. From the people that did comment on the first video, I got a lot of good positive feedback, so, you know, I'm kind of glad about that. But this little 3-minute video I'm about to show you guys is going to be a part in it's not in the beginning, it's probably closer. It's close to the beginning, honestly. It's probably in the first 20 minutes, 30 minutes, maybe. Yeah, probably further down. I don't know, like kind of like where I'm at right now. It's in the first 20 minutes, but that could also change depending on like how the process goes. Because like I'm aiming for a September release. If I can get it out before that, I will. But September is like kind of when I'm looking to release the second story, because obviously the hardest part is gonna be getting the voice acting, so the voice lines and all that, and figuring out how to place everything the right way, because I am changing some things. And like, you know, you guys will see it. You guys will see what I'm talking about when we get into the actual video. Actually, you know what, let's do that now. We're gonna go I'm gonna let you guys see what I've been working on so far. Mind you, I've only been doing this for like 4 days, so I'm still trying to figure things out on like, and the scene could change depending on like how I feel when I'm actually doing the final editing cuts and all that stuff. But anyways, this is just like a part in the story, so I hope you guys enjoy it. Let's pull it up real quick. Okay, so I know there was a lot going on right there, and like that's kind of like what I wanted to break down what I want to show. So we're gonna do this little by little, and I'm gonna kind of like go over what's going on in this particular part. So this honestly is gonna be a spot in the, it's gonna be inside the vault that Liu Kang and Raiden's been trying to get into, and it kind of like, the whole point of the first story was to get Liu Kang strong enough to be able to go to this place. So this is going to be Liu Kang's journey into here, because obviously there's a lot of time related traps and stuff within the vault. And this particular vault is like kind of where Liu Kang runs into the dark side of himself, obviously Revenant Liu Kang. And they have a little interaction, and basically there's a little back and forth going on, because Liu Kang's trying to overcome his darkness is what's going on here. And Revenant Liu Kang is trying to like explain himself, and like Liu Kang doesn't want to hear it, and he's trying to make Liu Kang feel guilty in this scene. So I thought that it'd be a good idea to kind of show it, because I wanted this second story to have a lot more action and a lot more fighting going on here. So that's kind of what's going on in this story in particular, because like this is probably in the middle point of this particular story that's being told in the vault. So basically, like I said, he walks in his room and he feels the presence of basically Revenant Liu Kang, which is like what goes on here. And Revenant Liu Kang is kind of taunting him, kind of like he does in the Mortal Kombat 11 story. It's kind of like I wanted to kind of recreate a little bit of that, but this time have it be where like Liu Kang is kind of like really trying to deal with his darkness, because like this whole vault is a lot of challenging things that's going to happen to Liu Kang, because Liu Kang is, the story is basically Liu Kang taking over the reins and becoming, you know, the true leader of like being a timekeeper, I guess you would say. He's no longer, Raiden is now taking a back seat, and like Liu Kang is kind of like leading and just trying to get everything situated, trying to learn as much as he can so he can understand his Keeper of Time powers. And in order to do that, he has to get this artifact. This is what he's there for, pretty much. So in order to get the artifact, he has to get past this part here, and keep going. Basically Liu Kang is facing a lot of trials in this story, right? So obviously this is the point where he's kind of just like going back and forth with Liu Kang, and like they have a little fight scene, right? So they have the fight scene here, and like boom boom boom, I'm trying to show like little things. I try to make it, I guess, what I'm trying to do with this story in particular, I don't want to be too much talking. I want there to be a lot of like action and like different kind of ways of presenting that action, whether it be like a little imagery and stuff like that on the screen, or doing something where, what you call it, they have actual fight scenes. And I thought this would be kind of interesting to do for this story, and like going forward I think I will use some fight scenes from the games, because like I feel like it goes so well. It'll go so well, and I think it'll be interesting to watch. And like, bro, I'm not gonna lie, like it's been forever since MK11. I felt like I forgot everything when I was recording this footage for the fight, but I thought like it would be a lot more entertaining to see an actual gameplay fight from MK11 versus just trying to like me animate these weird little things. Like I don't know, I'm gonna do a mix of both, but I kind of like the idea of getting actual footage from MK11 and like having that be a little bit more entertaining to watch actual like fight scenes, so it's not so boring with just like the 3D images and the 2D images, you know what I mean? So I thought that was kind of cool. So basically in this part here, it's basically going to be describing the fight, I think, per se, but I actually had already written the script, so it's a little off compared to what's going on in the actual fight. And like one thing I kind of wish they did with this skin with Mortal Kombat 11, I really wish they would have gave him some kind of electric properties with his characters, considering Kronika calls him the god of thunder and fire. So it's a little odd that there was no kind of electricity. It would have been cool. Like you can keep all the same moves, but have it be like different effects, you know, when you're using your skin. That would have been dope to see. But yeah, so basically this whole works, and I'm gonna narrate this part. You're gonna hear the fight noises and everything like that, like normal. And then I'm also gonna have a narrator narrate what's going on in the fight, because I feel like it'll add a different kind of aspect of it once I figure out everything out. So that's kind of like what I had an idea of for when I do fight scenes, because there's going to be a bunch of fight scenes in the stories that after going forward, because you know I always felt like it just made more sense for there to be more going on than in the first story, because like I honestly, like the first story was just introduction to the story, so there wasn't really a whole lot going on. It was just basically them trying to figure out how to survive. Now we're getting to the point where now they're going into the vault. They're now dealing with like traps and all different kind of creations that Kronika left behind to deal with any intruders in case she was out doing like resetting timeline and she left the keep by herself. That's basically what's kind of going on, and like what the story I'm trying to tell with the vault story, right? So I figured using an actual gameplay would be more entertaining, and I feel like it'd be more of a fun watch than just keeping it like fight noises and all that stuff. Like I don't know, I just felt like it would be a little bit better that way. So that's kind of going on once here. I think I might shrink it a little bit, and I'm gonna like honestly, like I said, so the words don't match in particular because I wrote the script way before I even recorded this fight, but this is more of just like kind of like getting you guys to understand like what I'm thinking of doing for the story, and it not just being a strictly just like words on the screen and just like fight noises. You know, that's the kind of approach I'm going for here. And then there's supposed to be a break in the fight right here. Okay, so there's a break in the fight. Honestly, it looks a little weird just because, like I said, this is just a draft. Once I figure out how to do it, it's gonna be a lot more smooth when you guys watch the finished product. So that's kind of like I wanted to have break points in the fight. I'm trying to make it seem as realistic as I possibly can, just for a storytelling kind of perspective. So obviously Liu Kang and the Revenant Liu Kang are kind of going at it with each other, because Revenant Liu Kang is trying to like guilt trip Liu Kang, and while also explaining himself and why he did what he did, while you know the good Liu Kang, the regular Liu Kang is trying to like, you should have just listened to Raiden, and all this could have been avoided. So yeah, that's basically it. They're going back and forth here, and then like obviously we get back into the fight. And like I said, I think I might shrink it, or like, and I'm gonna mess with the wordplay in the final product, just so it's a lot more visually appealing. So then from here, after the fight finally finishes, we cut away right here as the battle rages on, the darkness begins to swirl. Now we have a different point in the story. Now this part of the story is gonna be interesting, bro, because while Liu Kang is fighting the dark side of himself, there's also the ghost image of Kung Lao and Kitana. I wanted to bring this in because I feel like there's a lot of emotions that Liu Kang has for both Kung Lao and Kitana, and I feel like my MK1 didn't do a great job kind of explaining that, and I don't think it's really their fault because there's a lot to do when you're trying to condense a story into certain parts and you need it to just be quick so it makes sense to the majority of the fans, I think you kind of have to cut some corners in terms of like story building, especially when it comes to like, you know, these newer versions of characters, right? So Liu Kang, obviously Liu Kang's lover Kitana, you know, obviously he's gonna feel some type of way about her, and like I feel like in the beginning, like even like in the first story, I wanted this to be told a certain way. I wanted this story to tell the relationship between Liu Kang and Kitana, because that's what's been focused so hard throughout Mortal Kombat. It's the relationship, how they can never really be together. It's almost like a Romeo and Juliet type of sequence with Kitana and Liu Kang, because you know they want to be together but they can't because they're from different realms, and like all of the situations that they always end up in, like it just creates a really hard kind of like way of being together. And then you have Kung Lao, who's like a brother to Liu Kang, who like they fought together, they've trained together since they were kids, like they've done everything together pretty much. So like I felt like if I wanted to tell a good and kind of emotional story that's gonna make people feel things, I kind of wanted to tackle certain parts where it's like Liu Kang's still trying to get over what happened to both Kung Lao and Kitana, and I felt like him kind of going through these traps and stuff like that that Kronika left behind. I feel like the kind of person she was, she liked to mess with people's heads, and what better way to mess with Liu Kang than to bring back his former characters. So these characters in the beginning, well, I shouldn't say in the beginning, like I don't want to reveal too much. So basically at this point in the story, they're kind of talking down to Liu Kang, and like basically they're full of rage and they're full of resentment because of what happened. Basically they're kind of like the Revenant versions of the characters, but what I may even do is I may switch out these human versions of the characters and put the Revenants, because I have something I'm gonna tell as the story goes along, and like it's kind of like I don't want to reveal it because it's a big kind of like emotional point in the story. So basically that's what's going on in this part here. It's like now Liu Kang's not only having to deal with the Revenant version of himself, but he's also having to kind of doubt what he's doing a little bit, because of like their words kind of like really they're like daggers in Liu Kang, because Liu Kang, like, you know, he's tried everything he could to be the best champion he could have been, and like then his friends and the person that he loves kind of like it's like resenting him for his lack of effort and like his lack of being able to save them. That's basically what this point of the story is, right? So as you can see right here, it's basically like, you know, they're just kind of throwing insults at Liu Kang. Meanwhile, Liu Kang's kind of faltering because like they shouldn't be there, honestly. And like at this point, Liu Kang, like he's already kind of like trying to fight himself off, and then like they come in and they're shooting daggers, and like it's kind of like making him lose concentration on the fight a little bit. And that's gonna end up being a big point in the actual story. And like, you know, Liu Kang, like he's a very emotional type person, and when it comes to like Kitana and Kung Lao. And then like obviously you gotta throw this in where it's just Kung Lao talking about how he should have been the chosen one, and that if he had been the chosen one, things wouldn't have ended the way it did. But that's just Kung Lao's ego talking here. So that's basically what I have in terms of the story so far of this particular section. I kind of wanted to break it down, and also like there's some things that did change outside. Like one thing in particular, where is it? Let's try to get the closest right here. Boom. So I kind of opted out of the scroll. I kind of opted out of the scroll to do a bots here, and because I feel like it being more transparent and see-through, I feel like it looks a little bit better, and I feel like it looks more of like a game kind of experience, you know what I mean? So it's kind of the route I thought of taking. Like I said, this is still in the probably pre-alpha stage. It's like, because like, I'm still getting the bones of the video and how I'm gonna adapt it the way I want to, so it's gonna be a little bit difficult. It might even be different by the end of the project. It's like I remember the first story took forever because I kept changing things because I wasn't satisfied with the way that it was looking. So this is basically right now in the pre-alpha stage right now. So I'm gonna keep adding things to, like, even in these images, like these images aren't like the most crisp versions of them. I have better images. I just wanted to see what I could do in the basically with the certain images I have, and just kind of get you guys thoughts and opinions on it. Like I said, this part is like probably in the first 20 to 30 minutes of the actual story, and this whole part of the story is actually a big part of the story because it's basically going to be like them finally achieving the first step into Liu Kang becoming the keeper of time. So like I said, I just want to come on here and just like kind of explain like what I'm thinking right now, and just kind of give you guys a little update on the actual story, because like I know, like I said, I know it's supposed to come out in April, and then I said it's gonna come out in June, but I wasn't expecting to have a job for so long. So like I said, the 7 months of not having a job kind of really threw back it really put a wrench in my plans for this story. And like this is kind of like what I'm now that I'm working like a full-time job, I'm able to do it, and I think I'll be able to do it faster in September, because my job is actually a really good job, and like they pay really well for me. So like it'll be a lot easier for me to get this online than the first time, because before when I was doing the first story, it was hard for me to do it right away because the job I was working at wasn't really paying me that well. So it was kind of difficult, but with this job, like, they're giving me overtime and everything, so I'll be able to for sure get this out on time. But like, yeah, so I just kind of wanted to get out here and just kind of like talk to you guys and give you guys you know, a reason why the story why it's taking so long, and kind of like just show you guys what I've been working on a little bit from the scene, like, because the actual story itself is gonna be long, bro. Like, I imagine the story is probably gonna be close to an hour, if I'm being honest, because I think the first story of this was closer to I think it was like 34 minutes and 37 minutes, and like I think it was only like 40 pages if I could think of. I think this one's double. I think it might be double, because I'm going to look at the image now, and oh, it's not. Wait, hold on. No, it's about double. Yeah, it's about double, or it might be 40 pages more. It's close to that. But like, I wanted this story had to be told a certain way, so I didn't want to cut out too many parts here. But like, I think what I'm gonna end up doing for when I release it, I think I'm gonna release it in chapters. So I'm gonna release it in some parts, and then I'll release the full-on thing if people want to see the full compilation of the story. Because like I said, I'm gonna do it like 1 act, 2 act, 3 act, 4 acts, just so it's a little bit of an easier watch, maybe like 10 to 15 minute watch versus like an hour, because I know sometimes people don't really like sitting there for like an hour watching a video, and I think maybe doing it this way will be easier, and then I can always just put in compilations for people who want to see the full-on thing, like, and not have to wait for the chapters. But yeah, that's basically where I'm at right now in terms of the story. Let me know what you guys think about it so far, and you know, if there's anything that you guys think that you think could look better and do better, and like, that's kind of like where I'm at. But also, like, one more thing I want to say about the story, about the game play, I put it a little bit darker just because I wanted to feel like more of like a dungeon type of style, and like Mortal Kombat 11 doesn't really have a lot of stages that are kind of dungeony outside of the Shaolin one. From what I remember, I don't think there was another one. If there is, I'll look for it and see, and then when we get to that point, we'll put that one instead. But I think the Shaolin dungeon was kind of like the closest thing to a dungeon. It's not like it's Goro's dungeon. If it was Goro's dungeon, that would have been way better. That could have been so cool for this video. But yeah, that's kind of where I'm at, and I kind of just wanted to sit there and just explain how my step-by-step process is, and show you some stuff that isn't really fully done, but like I'm beginning to work on it, just to let you guys know that the story is coming, and it's coming soon, sooner rather than later. So once I get the voice actor situated and I'm able to get all the voice lines, then we'll get everything updated, bro. Like, I can't wait to see how this actually turns out. I think it's gonna turn out really well. I think it's going to be way better than the first story. I think you guys are going to be surprised at how much better this story is, because I showed some of the people who are voice acting for it, and I'm not going to lie, they liked it. They said one of them said that it's like that they really liked how much more of like character growth they've seen for Liu Kang and basically what's going on with the other characters and stuff like that. Like I think the ending is probably the best. And like, cause I remember writing that, I was writing that ending and of the second story, and it was so hard to get through, bro. Cause I'm just like, you ever like wrote something and just like or read something that's like really really emotional, and he kind of gets to that point, and like I felt like the second part, the second ending is gonna be a lot. It's gonna be a lot because like I'm not gonna tell you what's gonna happen, but I'm gonna tell you this that I've said how I wanted Mortal Kombat to be a little bit darker, and I kind of wanted to do that with this second story. I wanted to be left off on a dark note, so that's what you guys gonna get. So you guys gonna get, that's all you're gonna get from me though. I'm not saying any more because I don't want to ruin anything. I want you guys to enjoy the full story. But anyways, guys, that's gonna do it for me. I hope you guys enjoyed this. I know this is a little bit longer than I normally do for these type of videos, but I really wanted to dive into what my thoughts are and what our plan is going forward with the Mortal Kombat story, of the fan story we're working on. But anyways, guys, I'm out of here. Peace.